There's a tons of different programs that do a variety of different things, different syntaxes, different layouts, different templates, the like. So with that being said, we're going to experiment and play with a couple different programs because it's good to have diversity. Of course, this is user preference, so you can go ahead and do Google searches for code editors that you would like to look at. But specifically, we're going to go ahead and focus on 3 programs. And this first one that I have up here is called Brackets. Now, the reason why I like Brackets is because it looks clean and it looks elegant, and it feels like a nice editor. Another one that we're going to look at is called Sublime Text 2, which obviously you can see major differences with light versus dark on here. It's just for user preferences if users like light or dark or whatever it may be. Now, another program that we're going to be looking at is called Dreamweaver, which is on the Adobe side, which obviously looks different as well. But we're going to go ahead and start out here on looking at Brackets. So with that being said, we're going to just start making a basic web page to show you the elements, the tags that you have learned in the previous lessons, and how that is visually displayed on a website to get a better grasp of the context of what's been going on. So with that being said, if you remember back in our previous lessons, we're going to go and start with identifying and telling the web browser what type of coding they are deciphering, which is HTML. Then we're going to start with the HTML element itself. And remember, inside the HTML goes everything. After HTML, we're going to go ahead and start with the head. And if you remember, inside the head goes the title. Now, the title tag, remember, is just the naming that goes on side of the tab on the web browser. When you open multiple tabs, the little writing inside is the function of the title. So we're just going to call this Pueblo Programming Introduction. And remember to always close your tags with the !title. And then we're going to also close the head tag. And remember, inside the body is everything that is composed on what is displayed on the web page itself. So we're going to go and start with a heading to begin with that we can go ahead and see. Remember, headings are like on newspapers. The bigger the title, the bigger the heading. H1's the biggest, H6 is the smallest, and we're just going to go Pueblo Programming 101. So we'll just start with something that looks kind of like that. Now, automatically, what I'd like to draw your attention to is you can see the way on how it looks like a declining staircase where it's all indented. And I'll talk more about the specifics on what matters and what doesn't matter. But for the most part, when you indent certain areas, it just looks to make more logical and more efficient. Now, you're probably asking yourself, well, what's the benefit of this? It looks just like a notepads that you would see here. But Notepad, as you can see, you can use it, but it's really hard to read and it just doesn't look nice and very efficient. And you're saying, well, maybe this looks the same. Well, that's because I haven't saved it yet, and you can see the syntax highlighting. The reason why you use specific HTML text editors is for syntax highlighting, which identifies the tags, which identifies images, which identifies links. That stuff is actually being able to show different colors that helps you logically see the flow of the HTML code. So something to keep in mind when you're always making an HTML file, you want to save it in a directory, say your desktop or whatever it may be, but you want to save it specific in a file called root. So for example, I created this folder on my desktop and I created a subfolder called root. And inside that root, we're going to go and create and call this index. And index is pretty much the default page and one of the most prominent and needed pages when composing an HTML website. So, and then always remember to call it with its extension .html so we can open and view this. So we're going to go ahead and call this index.html. Now you can see automatically that it's changed, and now you can go ahead and see the elements and the tags themselves have been changed colors. So obviously it looks like in this program the way they specify tags and elements is in blue, where the actual wording is now in black. In the same scenario, if we look and open the same type of text inside of Sublime Text, we can go ahead and see that in this program they have the tags and the elements highlighted in a dark pink color. In the same scenario as well, when we open up a new HTML file in Dreamweaver, we can see that they also do blue. So there you can just see that there's the programs just change the look and design of and the feel of syntax highlighting, which is just one feature of variety in these programs. But after this heading, let's go ahead and just add a simple paragraph tag, which you remember to be $P. Now, what's cool about some programs is they do this autocomplete method where you can see I added the bracket and automatically it's ready to close it after I type it. So this is a sentence composed of the P tag on HTML. So there we have a P tag. Let's see what it would look like. And say we want to add doing a link, and say we want to do .youtube.com, and then after youtube.com, then we can just insert in between here whatever we would want to write, and then we close the anchor down. So essentially what this is telling us right here is we're going to have this sentence that says this is a sentence composed of the P tag on HTML, and then we have this link that will take us to youtube.com, and the link, the hypertext, is going to be video. So let me show you what I mean. Now automatically, depending on what the editor that you use, it did it for me. This program automatically added the ending of body for me. So say right here I do that, you can see that it adds the closing for HTML because the program automatically knows that these tags that open need to be closed. So with that being said, we can go ahead and see what this looks like. In this program, in brackets, if you're using it, you go to File, Live, Preview after you've saved it in that directory, and it will open up a simulated web page, and you can see finally for the first time everything that I've been talking to you about. With the heading, we have Pueblo Programming 101 here. Then with the paragraph tag, this is what it looks like. It's just a sentence, just a statement. And then we have here this link, this hypertext link that says video, that's content is in fact youtube.com. So there you can kind of see and start picturing of how these tags work inside and how it's just making the backbone of HTML. So now let's go ahead and see what all this code looks like inside of the other editors, just to show you variations. So here we have in Sublime Text, you can see that on the far left you have the line of code, and then you have these little vertical margins that kind of show organizational wise how to develop it. So you kind of see it's nicely indented here, and it just visually looks nice. Now something else I'd like to tell you is when looking in this program, you can see the syntax highlighting is different. As I talked about the elements and tags, they are in pink. You can see that the reference text, as well as anything in quotations in this program, changes color from brackets. And the same can probably be said if we look at inside a Dreamweaver. It is slightly different as well. Now, something cool feature if you have the chance to use Dreamweaver that you can do, if you look up here in these 4 tabs right here, you can see Code, Split, Design, and Live. And what these allow you to do is to easily manipulate and look at what is going on inside the code and then on the web page. So if we go to Split, we can go ahead and see, for example, what is going on. Or in Design, you can just see the entirety of what it would look like on a web page. And Live, of course, would take you to a live version of that site. So it's kind of cool to utilize this method here to see both the code half and then see what's going on live on a web page. It just helps with multitasking. Of course, with all these programs, as I already told you, you just save them as HTMLs and you can double click on them in the directories to open them, and you can see exactly the entire web page as what you would see. So let's go ahead and go back to brackets and just add a couple more lines to fill up this web page just to make it look a little full. So let's go ahead and add another paragraph tag here, and we'll go Pueblo Programming was started to allow for easy use in learning how to code. And then we'll close it. Uh-oh. we kind of got an issue, it looks like, where all this is in blue for some reason, and it's, even though we closed the tag, for whatever reason, it's not counting it. So what do we do now? Well, there's a couple things you can do. You can go ahead and check out your program to debug it for any issues, or look at ways of finding the solution and see what's wrong with the syntax, or you can go through it yourself and just see if things make sense. Now, early on in the early development stages, it's actually quite easy to look to see if things matching up. We know HTML has a pair, head has a pair, and they're both closed. Title is open and closed, body's open and closed, the headings are closed, this paragraph's closed. So what's left? Well, we got this right here, this line 9. We're missing, if you look, a close right there to allow it, and automatically can see it changes color from black to blue and vice versa. So you just need to be really careful with the way you go about coding to make sure that you're doing everything correctly syntax wise. Just remember things that need to be closed with the tags, open and close tags, and things of those nature. So I went ahead and just copied real fast. See, automatically you can see that it adds the closing tag to kind of help for convenience with stuff like that. So that's the reason why you use these text editors. So real fast, we'll go ahead, and before we add another paragraph here, say we want to change up the background color of that web page from that white, and say we want to change the color of the text. Well, if you remember back in just the previous lesson that you learned, there's actually a way to do that. And when you change the background, instead of going inside of the other element, say the image, you go inside of the body element inside of this tag. So here for example, we're going to go ahead and change the text to white, and BG color stands for background. We're going to change the background to red, and the link will be purple, and after it's pressed and you go back, it will be blue, and when it's depressed, it will be pink. So for example, if we were to go ahead and just load this real fast, remember to save it first, and we'll go ahead and run it to see what it looks like. We click live preview, we can see in fact whether or not, there it is, the program is red, the font is white, and there's the color of the video, which doesn't really show up too well, but that's okay. So you can see kind of the way that the structuring goes. But even furthermore, what the main benefit of this video is to look at and understand this way the syntax is composed. So right now we kind of have enough for bases to understand that, oh, the tags and the basic elements that open and close are blue. Then when we have other descriptors or other adjectives or modifiers or attributes, we can see that they are green. Then when we have this specifying specifically what we want changed or added, we can see that that's done in quotations and it pops up in orange. Remember, every program is different, so if we were to add this into Sublime Text, it looks like that it changes slightly in coloration here, but overall you can start to see and picture an understanding of the way that the syntax is going. So in the next lesson, we're actually going to add ordered pairs, ordered lists, unordered lists, tables, as well as maybe even get to frame set to show you on a website where you see on the left hand side a column for, say, navigation pings. We're going to look at trying to add that, as well as finally setting up on the directory side how to create subfolders, on how to add images and more elements. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it wasn't too hard. But as you play with it, you can start to see a pattern evolve when it comes to certain syntax highlighting, as well as overall structure and organization. With that being said, we'll see you in the next lesson.